Congratulations to the top three finishers of the 2019 Russian Grand Prix. In third place, Charles Leclerc. In second place, Valtteri Bottas. And taking the 82nd win of his career and his 9th win of the 2019 season, our winner, Lewis Hamilton. Well, Lewis, a huge day for you and the team. Just tell us, before the start of this race, how confident were you?
To win the race? I don't think we were particularly confident. We knew that we were obviously on a different tyre. We put ourselves on a slightly different strategy in that respect, and was hoping that that was going to give us an opportunity to dice and fight with them at some stage through the race. But at the beginning, before the race, we sat down and we were like, our estimations of if the soft tyre will last or not, either will be correct or they'll be correct. And I think ultimately, they were right, because the soft tyre was much stronger than we anticipated. And obviously there was that difference between the compounds. So keeping up with the softs with their consistency and their speed was, oh God, it was so hard. So I wasn't expecting that. And then there was obviously that slight tail off towards the end where I was able to start closing the gap, but it wasn't massive chunks out that I was taking out of them. But then we were obviously able to be able to extend we were planning to extend for like 15 plus laps or something like that. So hoping that when we come back out in the soft, we'd have a chance to be able to fight with one of them who's on a different tyre. But obviously safety car and all those things came into it. Valtteri did an exceptional job, because it's not easy keeping the Ferraris behind, and Charles has been driving so well. So just ultimately just an incredible day for the team, considering the challenges that we've had. And I think this weekend we knew that we had to pull more out of this car, and there was more potential there, but we didn't know where it was. And I think we pulled ourselves a little bit closer to the Ferraris this weekend, and it was just enough to get ahead of them.
And you got swamped by the Ferraris at the start as well. Was that the difference between you being on the medium tyre and then them on the soft?
I think partly. I think we both, when we did laps to the grid, I didn't have a lot of grip. I don't know how it was for Valtteri, but I was a bit worried. And then obviously we definitely lost a little bit from the initial phase, but then I wasn't able to get to the toe because he stayed on the left and gave Seb the toe. And then I tried to sneak in behind a Seb, but then there was a McLaren there. So I had no toe down to turn one and nearly lost another place. But after that, it was just trying to keep up with them. But it was like trying to do qualifying laps every lap, trying to keep up with them because they were so fast. So massive challenge, but one I'm really proud of everyone. And I hope that everyone back at the factory is able to relax for a second, and but then come back and work hard tomorrow, because we still have plenty of races to go and a lot of challenges ahead of us.
Well done, Lewis. Valtteri, coming on to you. Great performance by you today, fourth on the grid to second. How much pressure were you under from Charles in that last phase of the race?
Yeah, for sure. It's never easy. I think they had a strong car today, good pace, and as we've seen this year, they've been extremely quick on the straights. So I knew that if they get close enough, especially in sector 3, they are gonna be a big threat into turn 2. But just really had to try and keep it together, try to minimize the mistakes, and the car felt pretty decent today, especially with the soft tire in the corners. So tried to really maximize everything I could in the corners, and try to get good sector 3 and good exit out of the last corner, and that way could keep the position. But yeah, to be in that position beforehand, I think the team did all the right things today. Already decision yesterday to start on the mediums, to go long in the first stint, then at certain point when you go long in the first stint, you just start to hope for that VSC or safety car to come, and today it came like a miracle. So that's always good. And so a bit better feeling than yesterday for sure.
Indeed. Thank you, Valtteri. Well done. Charles, coming on to you. Congratulations on third place. But it was a complicated afternoon for Ferrari. So can we just go back to the start? And can you just tell us about this agreement that was in place between yourself and teammate Sebastian?
Well, I think everything was respected. I mean, at the start, obviously went to the left to give Seb the slipstream. I knew he would overtake, and anyway, we knew that. Then we just had to do the swap back, and we did it at the pit stop later on in the race. And yeah, then our race went downwards. As soon as Seb had the issue, the safety car didn't come at a great time for us. And yeah, everything was more complicated from then on.
Charles, just to clarify, so you'd agreed to stay to the left and Sebastian was expecting you to hold that side of the track to get the toe. Is that what was agreed?
I mean, staying to the left or whatsoever. I just had, obviously, if there was Lewis and Seb side by side, I obviously had to advantage Seb and not Lewis, which is normal. So yeah, that was what was agreed.
And how surprised were you that Sebastian didn't swap back immediately?
I don't know. I think the situation was quite tricky. There was a safety car straight away, so then it was quite difficult. I tried to stay as close as I possibly could for 2 or 3 laps, but then it was very difficult to follow, especially first and second sector. Tires overheated, and then I dropped back a little bit. So yeah, but then I was, as I've said on the radio, I had 100% trust in the team to do it themselves as it was agreed before the race, and that's what they did at the pit stop.
Okay, and any reliability concerns for you following Seb's engine problem?
I don't think so. I don't know. I actually don't even know what is the issue. So yeah, first I need to speak with the team, but I don't think there was any. Yeah, I don't think there was any concern on my side.
Thank you, Charles. Let's open this to the floor, and please remember to give your name and publication.
Scott Mitchell from Autosport. Charles, you mentioned they're having 100% faith in the team to sort the situation, and you did it at the pit stops, but obviously the team needed to get involved to sort that. Do you have the trust in Seb after this to honour team agreements? And to the Mercedes drivers, you've talked about how good your relationship is and how hard you work for one another in the team. How damaging would it be to that relationship if one of you openly didn't follow a team order?
Yeah, I think the trust doesn't change, and I think we need to trust each other, Seb and myself, because I think it's hugely important for the benefits of the team in some situation to know that you can count on the other car and vice versa. I mean, in both ways. So yeah, I think it's very important. But yes, the trust is still here.
Lewis?
I mean, we work together, so it's about having respect, and I think the respect has been there since day one. And we talk about the scenarios very openly, and you know, Valtteri has always been respectful in all those scenarios, and I think it's vital that we are both acting accordingly, which we do, I think.
Anything to add?
Yep, that's fine.
Next question, please.
Fairly keep question to Charles. Do you think that if Seb would have given you the place earlier, you could have fought for the win?
Not if the safety car would have been the same. I mean, at the same time. To be honest, that was our the main thing that went wrong today was this. But this is nothing we could have done. It's a shame for the team because I believe we had the potential to do very good today, and yeah, with the safety car at that time of the race was not great for us. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Next one.
Christian Mehnert, motorsportmagazin.com. Question for you, Charles. You said you gave Seb the toe. Does it mean you could have done anything differently if you would have fought against him?
I actually had absolutely no reason to fight because, as I said, I trusted completely in the fact that we will swap back after, so there was no need to take any risks at that time, and yeah, that's why I just didn't fight.
Thank you. Next one.
Andrea Carmonese, Gazzetta dello Sport. Charles, do you think that the second pit stop was not too optimistic because at the end you lost the position with Valtteri?
I think it was a tricky situation because obviously staying on mediums that had already 5 or 6 laps compared to soft that were new, especially for a restart after the safety car, we are I think everyone on the grid is struggling to keep these tires in temperature anytime we are behind a safety car. And if you are on a medium, already it's a disadvantage. And if it's a bit worn, then it's another disadvantage. So we didn't want to take the risk to lose more than one position. I think we did the right choice. Looking back, you can always think about maybe a better scenario, but at that time, I think it was the right decision for us.
Thank you. Next one.
Luis Vasconcelos, former press for the two Mercedes drivers. Luis, at the start, you could stay within 3 seconds of Seb. Was that the limit for keeping the tires alive and go as long as possible, or you couldn't get any closer? And to Valtteri, exactly the opposite. After the restart, was the priority just to keep Charles behind, or you couldn't get closer to Lewis because he didn't have the pace?
I couldn't. I think that was probably the limit of, obviously I was on the medium tire, so they had the advantage with the softer tire, which is quite a bit quicker. And then secondly, when you're towing, 2 seconds is quite hard to follow. So yeah, I think it dropped back to around 3.3 or 3.5 seconds. But I was trying to keep up. I wasn't managing it, that's for sure. They were just pulling away initially. And I think once we got to like 15 or 18 or whatever it was, I started to be able to keep up with them a little bit better. And as their tires, I think, started to drop off a little bit, I was able to then start putting make some leeway, headway, whatever it is, and start taking time out of their gap.
Valtteri?
Yeah, I think at that point, we were on a similar tire with Lewis, same car. For me, the priority definitely was to try and keep Charles behind. For sure, I was trying in the beginning if I could get a chance at the restart of the safety car and the first lap, but there was no way. So I was trying to balance out in the first few laps to push hard enough to keep Charles behind, and at the same time try and leave a little bit of margin to Lewis, because when you follow very close behind, you obviously slide and destroy the tires easier. So I think the few second gap I had, most of the second stint at the end, was ideal. I could get a bit of a tow effect on the straights and not too much sliding in the corners, so it was pretty ideal. But I have to say Lewis was very quick today, and especially the first stint, I don't know why I didn't have the pace to match. Second stint was a lot better.
Thank you. Next one.
Scott Mitchell from Autosport. To all three drivers, there's been a fair amount of concern and criticism raised by the drivers over the direction of the 2021 rules and how much you guys have heard. We know that Chase and Ross gave you a bit more of an update this weekend. Do you feel a bit more informed now? Would you like a little bit more sort of inclusion, even away from the meetings that you've attended with the FIA?
Lewis, can we start with you, please?
I think they've been quite. It's been a huge step for us to be involved. It's a big step for all the drivers to be united, and I think we're building a new and better relationship with the FIA, the GPDA, and the FIA in terms of communicating, and I think they've been quite open. I think there were things that we ask about, and they're like, we can't change it now, but there's no such thing as can't for an engineer. There's lots of things that can be improved, but the thing they did show us the other day is the amount that you lose behind the car today, and what their simulations say that we will lose in terms of downforce behind the new car. And I think it looks great. So I'm kind of just I'm working as hard as I can to make sure I can stay around for then and get to drive those newer cars. And naturally, we don't want the cars to be slower either. I think they said they're 2 or 3 seconds off. So hopefully we can push forward with that, but we some things like weight, we don't want the car to get heavier, but it is going in that direction. So, but I know they're working really hard at it.
Valtteri?
Yeah, I think it's like Lewis said, it's a good start that we are a bit closer to them, and they are actually sharing the ideas with us, and I think we have a pretty good understanding on all the what comes to driving and racing and weekend formats and whatever. We're always happy to give our opinion, and I think we have the best understanding what makes us happy and what makes the racing better means happier fans and so on. So for sure, it's nice to be involved and hope that really continues.
Thank you. Charles?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's very important that, as it has been said, we are all united for the same goals. I think our ideas are clear, what we want, and it's important that we are involved, because we just feel things that might be sometimes on the data doesn't look the same way. So yeah, it's a good step.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Phil Duncan, P8. Lewis, you're 73 points clear of Valtteri, 107 clear of Charles now with just 5 races to go. Is it difficult in your mind not to think that you've already pretty much sewn up this 6th world title?
I just don't try to think about it. So it's not that it's difficult. It's pretty easy just to focus on the task at hand, and it's not easy at the moment. So just honestly, just focusing on trying to be the best I can be each weekend, one race at a time, and making sure I'm just delivering at a high rate. What's really impressive is just to see how naturally we're fighting against the Ferraris who've got great pace, but Charles, Valtteri, Seb, Max, Carlos, there are so many of the drivers are really performing so well. I think it's one of the best years I've seen the drivers perform in terms of just class performances. So it's meaning that everyone has to raise their bar, including myself, and I'm enjoying that challenge. So and as I said, we just one race at a time. The next one's going to be super hard to try and beat these guys again, but not impossible, as we've shown today.
Thank you. Next one.
Daria Panova, Motorlad. Question to Mercedes drivers. It's double podium, congratulations, but obviously it wasn't a perfect weekend for you. So what is your opinion about this Grand Prix, and what areas you think you need to improve?
Well, we've been very fortunate to have come to Russia and have quite incredible performances for many years now. And we've had, I think the Ferraris had front row last year or the year before.
Year before.
Yeah, and obviously again, incredible performance this weekend. So we've been a little bit. I think we've done a good job today. So it's ended up being a good weekend. But of course, we're on the maximum limit, and I think those guys still quite dominant at the moment. So it's taken quite a special job from us today to pull out ahead of them. I've really enjoyed my time here. Honestly, I've not spent a huge amount of time in Russia, but the people seem so welcoming, and just generally really nice people. And I think they're getting used to Formula One. You know, when you grow up, I see Russia and you see the Kremlin in the movies, and you see Moscow and it's freezing. And when I came out here, I didn't even know that they had a seaside, and it's beautiful. I wake up and open my curtain and I see the sea, and I have no clue what point of Russia I'm actually in, but it's obviously got a lot to offer. So in terms of the racetrack, I think it's growing on me, and it's obviously got the great straight. I think we can do better in making it somehow better for closer racing, because the corners are all so fast. It's very, very hard to follow, as we were all saying. So perhaps in the future we might be able to make the corners tighter or something. I don't know.
Valtteri?
Yeah, I've definitely always enjoyed coming here. It's been pretty successful for me personally, and had many podiums, and first ever win for me here. So special place on that side, and obviously neighbors with Finland. But yeah, you said we didn't have a perfect weekend, but we had a perfect day today, and it's Sunday that really matters in Formula One. So happy days, but we definitely have work to do.
Thank you, Valtteri. Next one.
Luis Vasconcelos from La Presse for all three. Luis, you mentioned this a bit, but Suzuka is a different kind of track, but with Ferrari now being quick on the corners, and possibly the Red Bull Hondas having no no grid penalties. How tough it's going to be between all three of you and the other three drivers from the top teams? What balance do you expect there?
It's going to be awesome. This Suzuka is incredible. It's one of the most exciting parts of the year, and now so even more than ever before, because you've got three solid, incredibly fast teams, particularly pushing each other and have the potential to win the race. I have no idea who's going to be quickest there. Obviously, at the moment, Ferraris are quite dominant, but maybe it'll suit our car a little bit more. Who knows? Or the Red Bull, maybe. So it's exciting to go there because that's a serious driver's track. That is one of the best ones of the whole year. There's not normal the tarmac runoffs areas that you see here or around the world. It's proper grass and gravel and walls. So it's the ultimate test, I would say, that track for the car and also for the driver. And I just hope that we get to have a good race there.
Yeah, look forward to it. Not much to add. I think it's going to be exciting. Good fight between three teams and between all the drivers, and I really look forward to it. It's personally, it is my favorite track if I have to choose one, so it should be fun.
Charles, how confident are you of your pace at Ferrari's pace at Suzuka?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier this week, we've been quick in Singapore, we've been quick in Monza, and both of them are the complete opposite. So I think it shows that we are doing some progress. So there are no reasons for us to be very slow in Japan, but it doesn't mean that we'll have an easy life. I'm pretty sure that Mercedes and also Red Bull will be very strong there. I've only been once in Suzuka, but it's a track I loved. Last year, I took so much pleasure driving, especially through the first sector. It was just, a really great experience. So we're really looking forward to go back there.
It's pretty incredible. It's your second year. Only your second year. He's already in Ferrari and he's doing was it 4 wins this year?
No, you are overestimating me. No, 2.
Okay, well anyway, it's still pretty impressive.
Thanks, man.
Any more?
Nope.
Beatrice Zamuner, Motorlat. Charles, given Sebastian's DNF today, how much of a concern does reliability sound to you at the moment?
As I said, I don't even know what the issue is. So for now, I'll speak with the engineer. I don't think reliability has been an issue or a concern from the beginning of the year on our side. So I don't expect it to become one now, but let's see. I've got no idea what the issue is, so I firstly need to speak with the team to understand what went wrong.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you to all three of you. Well done today. Great Grand Prix, and that is all we got time for. So a full transcript of this press conference will be available shortly at FIA.com.